Hi, welcome to Cottage Industry Fibers. My name is Kim, and you could find me as Continental Kim on Ravelry, Instagram, and also on Plurk. I'm thrilled to have everybody here today, and I have to say I'm super happy about being able to move into my craft room. You can't really see much right now, but we were able to make the change so that I can now record in my craft room, and depending on what I'm doing each episode, I might be you're recording in a different area of the room, but for now this was the best spot for today, and I just really glad that we were able to make the change, and hopefully it works well for you all too. Let's go ahead and get right into works in progress. I haven't been working on a whole bunch of projects, just a couple this past week, because I really was focusing on trying to get some spinning projects done as well. But the main thing I've been working on is my Lock Street cardigan, and that's in my cute black and white sheepy bag. Last time I had shown you that, well, that's the one side that I had done. I had gotten about, let's see, I'd gotten, just about 4 rows up into, the pattern, the cabled portions of the pattern. And so I've gotten a little bit further right now. I'm about so from right down here to right about here is one of full cable repeat of this particular cable. And I've done 3 of those repeats so far, and I need 1 more until I start binding off to start that armhole and the neck shaping, because it's a shawl collar on this particular pattern, and so the neckline shaping comes up in a V right about the same time that the armhole shaping starts. So I'm getting close to that. I'm going to be really happy to get to move on to the back portion of the pattern, hopefully this week. I put my bag right on top of my notes, so I wasn't able to see my notes that I wanted to mention. This is, again, the Lock Street cardigan, and it was done by Glenna C. I'm knitting it in Wool Mice DK on my signature size 7 needles. I think that's about all I have on that one. That's mostly what I've been working on this week. Put that down there for now. Oop. I don't know what kind of ambient sound we're going to get today, because we are in my craft room, which is kind of a more open area of my house. So we might hear dogs, we might hear kids. Well, I say kids, my kids are 18 and 21, but we might hear them. My husband, who knows? Who knows what can happen? Anyways, sorry for all the ums too. Let's see, so that's it for that project. I'm just looking for somewhere to put this for now. Okay, so that's it for that. The other knitting project that I've been working on this week is the Williamson Stole. It is by the Ravelry Heirloom Knitting Group. So this is a group of people who came together to take a heritage pattern from, I believe, the late 1800s, early 1900s, recreate it by permission of the museum that it was found in. And they posted it as a free pattern on Ravelry, but I can't really see too much what's going on there. I don't know how much you can see, but I'm about 10 rows into the next chart. That chart is the second chart out of, I want to say, 5, but those last 2 charts you repeat a few different times to do kind of the center portion of the stole. The thing I really, really like about this type of lace knitting is it's a very long-term project, but I kind of look at each chart as a finished object, as a victory. The chart I'm working on right now is about 80 rows. And let me tell you, when I am done with that chart, I'm going to be ecstatic. It just feels like a finished project of its own. So I would encourage anyone to not be daunted so much by some of the harder or more, I don't even want to say challenging knitting projects, but just something that you might look at and you go, oh my gosh, look at all those charts. Don't look at all the charts. Well, you got to look at them, but focus on one chart at a time. Make that your finished object when you finish that chart, and take victory in being able to do that. So that's my soapbox for the day. Anyways, this is Gossamer Web Phoenix yarn, and that is a 60% merino, 20% cashmere, 20% silk yarn, and it is 2,600 meters per 100 grams. So that's not even a full 4 ounces, and it's 2,600 meters. In weaving terms, this is a 52-2, which means, if I, am stating this correctly, if not, please go online, go on the Ravelry group, tell me I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's 52 wraps per inch, and it's a 2-ply. So this is a 2-ply yarn that you can wrap around 52 times per inch, which is kind of crazy to me. But if you see, it kind of makes sense. There's 200, here's my hand, not that wide. There's over 200 stitches on that needle between, the distance between my hands. So 52 wraps per inch is entirely possible with this yarn. The other thing I wanted to say about it is, it seems kind of like, wow, that's got lace work on both sides. What that means is that when you're knitting the front row and the back row, there are yarn overs. But the one thing about this project is it's a garter stitch lace pattern, which means that even though you do have to do yarn overs on the back side as well as the front, you're knitting on the back side. And in fact, it's more of a two-sided reversible pattern, because there is no right side, wrong side. You're always knitting on whichever side you're working on. So even though there are yarn overs on every row, it's still fairly straightforward, because you are just doing knits and not a whole bunch of purls. Anyway, so that's about that for this project. It's on my Signature Straights size 1, and I'm going to put somewhere in that little talk a better picture of not necessarily this project, but the project pictures from the Williamson Stoll pattern, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry, so it's no problem showing you, stuff from the pattern. Let's see, the last thing I have that's knitting, I don't think I could really call work in progress, because it's actually backwards progress that I've made, but I think it was a good thing to do. And what it is my Forester socks that I showed you last time. They are by Betty Salpikar. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. And it's in the Interweave Knits Summer 2014. And this size 1 signature DPNs. I started off and I had to use a magic loop method, because what this is this stock starts the whole, you cast on the very center of the sole, and then you work in the round, and you increase for the heel, and you increase up to shape your toe, and then you do some decreasing once you have enough for to shape your toe, and you're still working in the round. Magic loop is what I did. I think you could also do like 2 circular needles for that, but it was just too big to put on my DPNs, too many stitches. And the reason I had backwards progress is because the pattern at one point has you essentially knit 3 together in such a way that you're kind of taking that in the round and you're closing it up. And I mentioned in the last podcast that because of the lack of stretch in this direction, you really have to have your gauge right to be able to go around your foot. And when I was pretty much almost done with back down the decreases for the gusset, and I tried it on, and it was too tight. It was too tight in this portion of my foot, because I like to start my gussets for my foot a little earlier. I keep pointing here and you can't see that. I like to start my gussets a little earlier in the foot because I need like more of a higher gusset, if that makes sense. So what I did is I ripped out the part of the leg that I had done, and I took out about 8 of the knit 3 togethers that close up this portion, so that the area that's closed up is shorter by about 8 stitches, and then I started in the round. And what that means is that I will have to do, as I go up and I'm decreasing, going in the round, and you decrease here as you go, I'll decrease 8 more times than I would have otherwise, and it'll give me a deeper gusset, and I think for me it will fit a lot better. So I'm not recommending that change necessarily for everyone, but if you like to start your gussets a little earlier, or you feel like you have kind of a larger circumference around your foot, that would actually be a good change for you. And feel free to PM me if what I said didn't make any sense and you want to, have a better idea of what how that works. But anyway, so that is that with that project. So I'm behind where I was before, but it's the way it works. Okay, just dropping that one down too. One last knitting project. I didn't work on it at all, but I didn't want you guys to think I didn't love it either, so I thought I would show you. I put my Aeolian into a project bag. Isn't that a cute project bag? I really like this one. It's got like a this is kind of like the material that you would put as a tablecloth on a picnic table, where it's that water, it's like waterproof material, and it's by Chica, Chica. Not sure what company that is, but I got it in a local yarn shop. I think it was just a Stitch in Time here in Jacksonville, but anyways, it's a great little project bag, and you can set it down and not worry about it because this is all waterproof. And then they've picked cute coordinating fabrics and everything. But I decided my Aeolian shawl deserved some sort of love, and decided it needed to go into a project bag. So I didn't want you guys to think I wasn't giving it equal love. But anyways, so there's that one. Nothing happened with that at all this week. Maybe next week. All right, like I said, I didn't work on a lot of other things because I was wanting to finish some spinning projects last weekend. Excuse me. So I don't have any spinning after the plying I did last weekend. I don't have any additional spinning this week. It was mainly just knitting, or work day knitting after work, but that's about it. I have one finished object, and I know it doesn't really seem like much of a finished object. I gotta reach forward to get it here. Okay, so here it is. Can you guys see? It's so cute. I saw, I think it was Laura made one on the Knit Girls. This is a preemie hat. Can you see that? Is that not adorable? This thing is so tiny. I don't know if you can see. Can you imagine their little head fitting in there? That's like nothing. It's like adorable, but it makes me almost heartbroken at the same time. Anyways, the pattern, Laura had done it, and I thought it was a great way to use up some leftovers from sock yarn. And the pattern is called Angel Babies. Let me show it to you here real quick. Can you see? Okay. It is a free pattern on Ravelry by Angelia McGarra, I believe. And this was the smallest one. It was 60 stitches that you cast on and then, work in the round. And the one thing I did want to mention, if you want to do the medium size, if you decide to do something like this and you want to do the medium size, here, it says here, can you see cast on 70 stitches? Okay. Well, it tells you to do a knit 2, purl 2, rib, which is a 4-stitch repeat for just the ribbing. And if you do 70 stitches cast on, that's not divisible by 4. So what I would recommend instead is to cast on 72 stitches so that you can do your knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, and you'll have enough stitches to complete the 4-stitch repeat. Then when you're done with the ribbing, go ahead on your next round and decrease 2 stitches, because it is important for you to have 70 stitches when it comes to the decrease rounds up at the top of the, up here where you decrease down, and then, it is important that you be at 70 stitches. So anyways, I thought I would show you guys that. The other thing about the preemie hats, I've heard that there are programs where they accept preemie hats as, on a donation basis, and you mail them in. Sorry, I'm just putting that over there. But from what I've heard, a lot of the hats that get sent into some of those projects and those programs don't get used, and part of the reason is because the inappropriate fiber was used, it's not washable, or for whatever reason it can't get used. And a lot of these places just have all these wonderful donated hats that aren't being used at all. And I'm not telling you don't do it, I'm just saying that maybe possibly consider checking with your local hospital and seeing if they need donations of, preemie hats. And then you can get a better idea from them what they're looking for, whether they can use yarn. A lot of times they can't use a wool that's not superwash. Or, they might think that they can't use it, but if you explain, well, that's a superwash and it can go in the washer and the dryer, then they're happy to use it. Like this here is Bad Amy Sock 80/20. It's superwash nylon blend. And I took this hat and I put it in the washing machine and washed it with a regular load, and then I put it in the dryer, and it's completely fine. That's what they need for preemie hats, because they can't have anything that, acrylics are good. They've got to have things that are washable and durable. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on that. That's all I had to say on that. This was knit on size 1 DPNs as well. Okay, now for the finished yarn that I've mentioned a couple different times. I had a Ply-a-Palooza this last weekend, and I spent a lot of my weekend trying to get some plying done for those big projects. I think I showed you, I talked about the Cormo because I had forgotten to bring it in, so I have that. But the first thing I'll show you is my skein of, this was the Into the World Cheshire fiber. It is 40% merino, 40% superwash merino, and silk. Am I right on it? Yeah, silk. And let me show you. I hope it's getting that. Can you see? That is a 3-ply, and it came out to be 5 ounces because I used a little bit of a third braid. Let me see if I can show a little bit closer up. There you go. So that's a 3-ply, and it came out to 5 ounces and 320 yards. So this will be my second skein in that colorway. So between, let's see, I have that skein and I'll have this skein in this colorway, and then the next thing I'm doing is taking the next colorway that I'm spinning, and I'm actually going to ply 1 strand of that colorway with 2 strands of what I have left of this fiber, and that'll be the third skein for the less is more cardigan. And then the fourth skein will be 2 plies from the new colorway, which will be Mercy Hardigan on the same base, and 1 ply of what's left of the Cheshire. Then I'll have from there the Mercy Hardigan. I'll have one skein that's all that colorway, and then another skein that's a slow blend of the adding the next colorway in, and so forth. So anyway, so this is going to be the last skein of solid Cheshire, and then I'm moving on to a new color. So I'm excited to do that this week. Probably get spinning on that tomorrow. So that's for my less is more cardigan. And then I have the Cormo, that the original intention for this was to be 3-ply for a sweater. So I don't know if I'm just whiting out the screen there or what's going on with that. But there is my Cormo 3-ply, and this was, what was it? It was 6.2 ounces and 370 yards. So it came out as a pretty good match to the other ones that I've spun up already from this fleece, which I'll show you in just a second. But that was plied last weekend as well. But when I was done with it, I had one bobbin that was totally empty, and I had 2 other bobbins of a different type that I had gotten more fiber onto. So I had quite a bit of fiber left on those 2 bobbins, so I decided to just go ahead and do up a 2-ply Cormo. Now you might notice on this one that it is a different color. And the cool thing about dyeing your own hand spun is that when you spin, the next thing you have to do is you have to soak that spun fiber so that it can, it can get set in that twist. Well, the first thing you have to do to dye yarn is you have to let it soak. So I let it soak to set the twist, and then before I ever let it dry or anything like that, I stuck it straight into the dye pot. And I don't know if that's showing the color, but it's kind of purple and blue and a light blue. I added a tiny bit of gray into the dye pot as well, just so that it would be, nothing would be solid white. It would be kind of a softened color all around. And that wound up being 2.8 ounces, 270 yards. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that. 270 yards, I'll have to find like a cowl or something. I think I'll knit with that. But I'm really happy with the way that the Cormo took up the dye. So that is the plying that I did last weekend. And just to show you, I was working on this Cormo as part of the Spin the Bin and the Poundathon challenge at Completely Pointless and Arbitrary Spinning Group, I think is the name of the group. So these are all the skeins from this year that I spun up. This is from Rudy's Fleece at cormo.us, I think that was the website. Well, but it's Cormo Sheep and Wool, but Sue has actually closed the farm. I think I mentioned that before, but this was one of her fleeces, and it was from a ram named Rudy. So there are those 4. And then this is from last year. I think I have enough yarn for a sweater. What happened was I spun all of this. This was from a ram's fleece. It was just Ram 856. She named him the next year, and he actually was one of her competition fleeces the next year. But I spun this like, 2.5 pounds, I think, hoping for a sweater quantity. And then what wound up happening is one of my skeins wound up being really bulky. So I could have maybe worked it into the sweater. But I thought, I have more fiber, I can spin some more and see what happens. So I did manage to get some more worsted weight from this second fleece that I did. So these guys will go in to finish up all the yardage I needed for the worsted weight. It's pretty much what I came to, is about a worsted. Sorry for scratching if you can hear that. That's actually my dog scratching to go out, so. She's kind of psycho though, so we just ignore her sometimes. But anyways, so because I didn't get enough yardage with that first spin because one of the skeins was really bulky, I went ahead and spun this up, and I will have more than enough yarn. But the great part is that when I'm done with my sweater, any of the yarn I have left over, I can just dye up and use it for something else. But I did want to show you, I have done a swatch with those other skeins. Can you see? And actually, this is so soft, you would never believe that this was wool. Cormo is such a soft fiber that it's just, you know, I know people that really have a sensitivity to wool, and I'm sure that, you know, I'm not discounting somebody's sensitivity, but there are different types of wool. And I would be really shocked if somebody had a sensitivity to this fiber because it's so fine and so soft. But anyways, so that's it. That's my little swatch for that project. That is it for spinning. I do have a weaving project. It's not really in the works yet, because really all I got done was I put the loom together. I had wanted to do some, sorry, my hair is getting stuck. I had wanted to do some weaving with my hand spun. And I have a Shacked Baby Wolf loom. But the Baby Wolf and those kind of jack looms, or any of the larger looms, they're going to have a lot of waste at the end, because there's a certain amount of warp that will never get woven in those type of looms. But the rigid heddle looms actually can be used with very minimal waste, because just the way that they don't have the harnesses that come up to make more complex patterns, and because of that space between the harness and the back beam of the loom, you can't ever weave into that area. So through the harnesses and back to the back beam, you can't weave in that area. There are ways that you can, you know, put tie-ons onto your back beam, so that as you're undoing your, you know, as you're drawing your warp forward, as you're weaving, that there's actually other yarn that it's tied to that will help it to extend closer to those harnesses, and so you don't have quite as much waste. But because I wasn't trying to weave anything terribly wide, I just thought a nice rigid huddle would be a better way to go. So I want to introduce you to my new Shacked Cricket. Oh, it's a 15-inch cricket. Can you see there's the little label on him? And this will be perfect for weaving with hand spun. And because, you know, there's a much smaller space between the front beam and the back beam, and then you've got your reed drops in, you know, right in this area here. So you really only have a very small space that would be a challenge to be woven. One thing though, when putting this together, if I had been smart, which apparently I wasn't at that time, one of the things I do with all of my wheels is I regularly clean them and give them a treatment with what they call wood beams. And wood beams is a wood conditioner, essentially. It keeps the wood from drying out, and it helps it to get, in my opinion, a really beautiful, like my cherry matchless. I think it's just kind of helped it get its color. You know, as wood ages, it starts to gain a certain color. I believe these are made out of ash, so they won't have the same kind of change in color like cherry wood does, like on my matchless. But while it was all still in pieces, it would have been really smart to go ahead and give everything a wood beams treatment ahead of time. But I didn't. So now what I'm going to have to do is probably use it for the first couple projects, and then I'll go back and give it a wood beams treatment. But what I plan on putting onto this for the first time is some hand spun that I spun last year. I believe it was for Tour de Fleece last year. This is Be Myself, a BFL, and it was one of her, she used to do these collections where you would get 1 ounce each of 3 variegated colorways and then 3 coordinating colorways. And I had collected 3 sets of the Ice Pops collection. And then this skein was the swirled. Let's see, I think my lighting is blowing out the color on this. If so, I'll just go without the extra lighting next time and see how that works. But this is a really pretty teal color. A little bit of variegation to, it's like a semi-solid, but it's a pretty teal. And then, it was 3.2 ounces of 2-ply. And then this one is its coordinate. And this one was called Root Beer Banana. And see how it's got like brown and yellow and orange and green in it, or teal. It's that same teal. So what I'll do, this one only came out to be 240 yards for 3 ounces. It's also a 2-ply. So what I'm going to do, this one has more yardage, so it's going to be the warp. And then this one will wind up being the weft, so what I actually weave through back and forth this way. And the other thing I did with this, I spun these specifically to weave them because I wanted to see what would happen with the weave structure if one skein was spun in an S direction and then plied in a Z, and the other skein is spun in a Z and plied in an S. And spinners will know what that means, but pretty much what it means is that when everything's said and done, the twist on one skein goes this way and the twist on the other skein, goes that way. And what's supposed to happen is when they come together being woven, they kind of lock together a little bit better because of the change in direction of twist. That's what's supposed to happen. We'll see what really happens when I give it a try. Hopefully I'll have that warped up this week as well. But anyways, I'm excited just to see how that goes on the loom, how it comes out when woven. It should be pretty cool to have this teal. Won't show up a lot because this one's a little bit thicker, so it's going to be the predominant color in the weave itself. But then the edges will be kind of I don't know if I'll twist them or braid them or if I'll just leave them kind of dangling edges, but they'll be just this color, and I think that's going to be a nice coordinate to the other skein. So anyways, I look forward to doing that and showing that to you a little bit later. Let's see what else I've got here. We talked about the Be Myself collection. Okay, I do have some stash and hand spent this week, but I'm going to skip that for now because everything I have to show you that's stash and hand spent is a club offering. So not something that I want to spoil people if they don't want to see it. So before we do that, sorry for all the reaching because I have actually a pretty big work table in my craft room, and I'm trying out having the camera on the work table and everything that I need for the podcast spread around me, but it does mean there's a lot of reaching and turning and twisting involved. So anyways, I wanted to show you this new book that I got. I forgot, of course, to go through and mark my favorites, but next time. But this is a book by Elspeth Lavold, and it just got released. Let me see if we can do this. There we go. It's called Viking Knits and Ancient Ornaments. And can you see this sweater on the front here? I love this sweater. And the really cool thing that they've done is they've gone through and they've not only done the patterns, but they've included, there's a lot of historical information about the Viking designs that they used as inspiration for the patterns, but then it's also sort of like a stitch dictionary. So see, there's the stitch pattern, there's some of the inspiration that brought it about, there's the chart, and then again, more inspiration for that specific pattern. And there's a lot of that sort of background information. I've always been a bit interested in kind of historical costuming. So that aspect of this book is very intriguing to me. But then they also have full patterns as well. And this is one of the really kind of cool patterns. It's a cardigan with a really pretty cabled edging across the front. That's just got a few places that it closes. And then right back into, you know, the stitch patterns and their inspiration. And then on to the next pattern and so forth. And I'll show you the back of the cover here so you can see some of the other patterns that are included in this book. So if you're geeky like me and you like old-fashioned costuming and you like vintage, you know, Viking patterns and the history behind how those things came about, then that might be a great book for you to check out. It's Viking Knits and Ancient Ornaments by Elspeth Levold. Okay. I keep on knocking that camera. Sorry. The other thing I want to do before stash enhancements is we have a giveaway. I've got the Smoky Mountain Spinnery. Oh gosh, I gotta reach really far for this one. Okay. So here's the little bag with Smoky Mountain Spinnery. And it's got that braid of Masham in there. And one lucky person from the Ravelry group has gotten that. I went on and I ran a random number generator. We only had 9 entries, so I ran numbers 2 through 10. And the selected, the number that came up was number 8. And let me see if I can bring that up here. Well, of course I didn't leave it up. Why would I do that? Okay, number 8 was Apple 380, and her answer to the question, what's your favorite fiber to spin, or if you don't spin yet, what most intrigues you about learning? Her answer was, I spin a lot of merino and superwash merino, just because those are the fibers I have had to try. I have had on hand, excuse me. I tried some BFL and really liked that, though the long staple length had me spinning a bulky weight. I enjoy spinning and learning. Well, I hope you enjoy the Masham, and I will get that out to you. Just PM me on Ravelry with your address, and I will get it out as quickly as I can. That is Jamie from the United Kingdom. Be sure and send me a PM. And congratulations. I don't have a giveaway this week, but next week, hopefully, I will have a special guest on my show, and with her, a very cool giveaway. At least I think it's cool. I think a lot of things are cool. But anyways, I hope you guys love her as much as I do. And I think you'll really like the giveaway that we have. If I can get her for next week, that would be awesome. All right. Well, the last thing I have is stash enhancements. Wow, that was interesting. Anyways, the last thing I have is stash enhancements. But like I said before, they're both club colorways. So run away now. If you don't want to be spoiled, I was glad to have you here. Go ahead and turn it off, and I'll see you next time. Otherwise, stick around for just a second, and we will look at a couple of new things. Giving them a second to go. Okay, I think they're gone. All right. There are only 2 clubs that I'm a member of anymore. One of them is Into the World, her fiber club. She does offer the same colorway that she does in fiber every month. She also offers in yarn, but I opted for the fiber. And then the other club I belong to is Bad Amy. So let's go ahead and start with the Into the World fiber. This is this month's colorway. And I know that there is no way, I think it's coming across a little bit, the pink and the lavender and the gray in this colorway. And one thing I love about Into the World's club is that she has inspiration images that people post. And then she picks from the top ones, she picks a few to work from each quarter. And I am going to post the inspiration picture for this fiber because the inspiration picture was absolutely lovely as well. And so as soon as I saw that picture, I knew that I was going to love this fiber. And actually, I'm going to pull just a little bit of it out here because I think that light on that plastic bag is getting in the way. So can you see that? I might even take a better stash picture and edit that in as well, just so you can see how pretty this is. It is the May 2014 Luxe Club offering, and it is 75% Polworth, 25% mulberry silk. So, oh, and the colorway is tickled pink, if I didn't say that. And when I get the club, I get 2 braids with my shipment, but I really, really liked this color. And the classic club offering was Polworth. So it was the exact same fiber, but just without the extra little bit of silk. And somebody was offering theirs for D-stash. So I went and I got a braid of the Polworth as well. And I think what I'll probably wind up doing is spinning the 3, so the 2 of the Polworth silk and the 1 of just a straight Polworth. I will spin them individually, the singles, and then 3-ply them together. I'm just really big fan of 3-ply. But anyways, that's what I'm thinking I'll do now, but who knows what'll happen by the time I really get around to spinning this. That's it for the Into the World Club. Now I am going to show you the Bad Amy Club. This also, she puts up spoiler pics, and I think I'm going to have to share the spoiler pic on the episode too, because the spoiler pics are pretty fun too on this one. Let me see if I can get this open, because you got to see this. You can't have the plastic in the way. That's just wrong. Okay. So this colorway is called Motor Lodge, and it's based on a picture from a Howard Johnson's. And when I put the picture up, you'll totally get the inspiration. But look at that. It is orange and blue, and it's like a really, really pretty aqua blue. And the name of the colorway is, it's gonna focus, Motor Lodge. And here's its coordinate. So it's got that same kind of really pretty aqua blue as the coordinate. And the thing that I love about this is I really like orange, but I don't wear it a lot because it doesn't look great up next to my skin. The one orange sweater I have is the Colorwork sweater that's orange from the yoke down, and then the whole yoke is like white and brown, and there's just not a lot of orange right next to my face. But I really like that colorway. So when I saw that she was pairing orange with aqua, or this kind of aqua blue, which is a very predominant color in my wardrobe, I thought that was going to be perfect because I can wear blue socks to go with my blue whatever and then have that little pop of orange stripe coming out, and I think that's going to be perfect. It will be unlikely that anything other than this yarn goes onto my sock needles next, but we'll see. Again, things can change, you never know. Anyways, that's it for me. I really need to back off on the stash enhancements. These are club colorways, so I get them, I don't have to order them, but I was thinking about it the other day and I thought, I'm almost at a point with my stash that, I have a place to store it. That's not the problem. It's almost like sensory overload. There's all these nice things to choose from that it's almost impossible to choose when it comes time to doing a new project. So I really need to try to back off on that. Although Kristen, I was talking to her the other day and I told her, I said, there's no way that I am ever going to be able to knit through my entire stash. I said, in fact, my friends are going to get the best bequeath ever when I leave this world someday. There's going to be this wonderful stash, and I think they're all going to be bum rushing my house to come and get it. And she told me, she said, I think I need to remind you that my husband's a locksmith and your stash isn't safe. I just let you keep it. So anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. But, you know, it's time to start really working on the stash that I've already got and hopefully get some neat projects done there instead of, you know, bringing in more stuff. Although when this stuff is out there, how can you resist? And I didn't have a choice. It's a club. So, anyways, that is really all I have for this time. I would love it if you would come by the group on Ravelry. It's Cottage Industry Fibers Podcast group, and join in the conversation. Come and enter into giveaways when we've got them going on. I hope to get a knit along going at some point, and you know, nothing high pressure. Just knit with us, and you know, if you don't finish, you don't finish. Just the way it is. But anyways, it was great having you here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.